I'm Nick Whalen from RotoWire. We're talking fantasy basketball. I know we're just a few days into the NBA season. We need some time to let things breathe, but it's never too early to start thinking about making changes to your roster. I got 4 players who should be added in just about every league right now. Number 1, Ivica Zubac of the LA Clippers. He's only 40% rostered right now in ESPN leagues. Certainly that number will rise in the very near future, but if you have a chance to grab Zubac, I think you should go do it right away. Always someone I like taking in the later rounds of drafts. Super dependable, doesn't really miss games, gives you solid points, rebounds with a block to a block and a half per game. Decent free throw shooter for a true center, and of course going to give you the field goal percentage as well. I think he's going to end up playing more minutes this season. We already saw that on opening night. Now, he was hovering around 25, 26 minutes per game last year. I think that could push closer to 30 for a Clippers team that really doesn't have a whole lot of depth at center. So if you need a center eligible player in your league, go grab Ivica Zubac. Another center eligible player who's widely available, even more available than Zubac, 36% rostered in ESPN leagues, is Onyeka Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, one of the biggest surprises so far in the opening games this week. Okongwu went for a career-high 28 points, gave you 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 11 of 12 from the field, 6 of 6 at the free throw line. Fantastic night for him going up against the Nets, which is part of the equation here. They were facing the Nets. That's probably a top 3 fantasy matchup. But we also need to keep in mind that the Hawks have a reasonable level of investment in Okongwu being a good player. He was a lottery pick for a reason back in 2020. He's been waiting, biding his time behind Clint Capella these last couple of years, but his workload has gradually increased each of the last couple of seasons. He was up close to 25 minutes per game a year ago. And I do wonder already, is this the year that the Hawks fully unleash Onyeka Okongwu at some point in a larger role? Now, Clint Capella got the start on opening night, but he played only 20 minutes and he wasn't in foul trouble, did not commit a single foul. Atlanta ended up riding with Okongwu for 28 minutes. He started the fourth quarter, went out for a couple minutes, and then played the entire stretch run in what was a close game. We don't want to read too much into it. It's just the first game of the season. I get that. But Okongwu is absolutely worth rostering under the notion that he could move into a larger role at some point. Keep in mind, Capella's been injury prone. He's also on an expiring contract that the Hawks could look to offload at some point this season. Another big man I'm targeting on the waiver wire. He's only 23% rostered in ESPN leagues. Andre Drummond. We're already having the conversation about Joel Embiid's availability. Not only has he been ruled out for the first 3 games of the season for the Sixers, but he's also under investigation by the NBA as Philly attempts to play it safe with Embiid's health. So, look, I have no idea how many games Joel Embiid is going to play or when we're going to even see him for the first time this season. I don't know if the knee is still bothering him or if it's really just Philly, trying to be extremely cautious here. But what I do know is that Embiid's not going to play back-to-backs, and he's probably not going to get to 60 games this season. That means for perhaps a third of the year, Andre Drummond will be the Sixers starting center. And look, we know the pitfalls with Drummond, specifically the free throw shooting. It's a huge negative in category leagues, but he also doesn't really take that many at this point in his career. He's still the best per minute rebounder in the NBA. He can give you points. He's been a decent steals guy as well in the past. In weekly lineup leagues, when you're not sure how many games Embiid is going to play, it becomes a little tougher. It's kind of the same equation for Drummond. But in daily lineup leagues, I want Andre Drummond on my roster as a bench option that I can plug in anytime Embiid is sitting. The fourth and final player on our list, we finally have a guard in the mix. Dyson Daniels, another Atlanta Hawk, and someone who started at shooting guard for the Hawks on opening night. Atlanta still preferring to bring Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench. I think Atlanta really values what Dyson Daniels brings on the defensive end. He's got great size. He's young. He's athletic. He's been a high steals guy in the past. He had 5 steals in 35 minutes on opening night. Also gave you 15 points, 5 boards, a couple of 3-pointers. The offensive numbers, they're likely going to come and go on a night-to-night basis. You shouldn't expect too much there, but Daniels should be a really consistent source of steals if the minutes continue, which I think they will. Daniels posted a 3.1% steal rate last year. That would have been number 1 in the NBA had he qualified. Didn't play quite enough minutes, but we're still talking about a 61 game sample last season. It's not nothing. Hawks were 27th in defense last year. They need a player like Daniels in that lineup. He's only 20% rostered right now in ESPN leagues, only 36% rostered in Yahoo. If you're in need of steals, go get Dyson Daniels right now. Those are the 4 players I'm looking to grab off the waiver wire early this season. Let us know who you like. Any players who jumped out to you over the first few slates of games? Any guys you can't wait to get bids on this week? We always love hearing from everybody in the comments. And of course, please make sure you're subscribed to the RotoWire YouTube channel and go check out rotowire.com/try, T-R-Y. That'll get you free access to everything on our site.